All right, this image is by Andres. You're at ISO 640, yeah, 24 millimeters, f2.8 at 1/200th of a second. So all of those settings are looking fine here. Your protagonist is your single subject here. The stage is late at night at a computer working on citizenship, but I wish that citizenship was a little bit more obvious here. The costume, you had him dress up, which I think is smart because this process of being a citizen really requires you to be a better citizen than anyone else, right? Like have more information, have more knowledge of history, present yourself in a better way. So having him dress up, I think adds to that narrative that you're trying to convey. The lighting is, it's actually like looks nice on his face, but it's not the lighting that we would expect for a portrait, but it's really illuminating his face. Well, it's illuminating his hand almost too much. I would probably pull back on that. But it's just this overhead lighting, and that's telling the story that this is late at night, that this isn't like during the work hours that he's able to complete this. This is after he's spent a full day doing whatever he does. He has to come in and start to work on this citizenship. And then the action in the drama is him on the computer, all of these notes next to him. And that's the one area that I think you could push, that drama, that action. He's on the computer. We can get in there and see the little flag. So I think what you chose as far as what's on the screen works, but I wonder if there's something you could add to this to show like the impending date of this test that he has to take, or what his notes are telling us because they're totally out of focus. Something to raise that drama so we know more of the story. It seems like this image might work better as more of a photo essay instead of a single image, where you could do that detail shot of the paper. You could do a shot of him writing on the calendar dates that are coming up, things like that that would give us the information. So I think this is a nice shot, but I think the meaning behind it I want to have captured without reading what you had written about it. All right, this image is by ZinZin. You're at ISO 100, 50 millimeters, f2.8 at 1/250th of a second, so that all looks good. Your shallow depth of field actually works really nicely to have your subject stand out from that background. It looks like she's on a golf course, which a lot of this doesn't make sense, right? But keeping that is a little bit more of a mystery, I think works well. So your protagonist is your single subject here. The stage is this open park that you have her at. Again, it looks more like a golf course to me, but some sort of open grassy area. The costume is what you're telling this story with, right? The costume is her overly dressed up to be outside. The lighting is very intentionally used. So you have this dappled lighting coming through the trees, and you have her posed where there's some light on her outfit, but she's really like soaking in the sunlight coming onto her face. And it's a really pleasing light as well. It brings us right to where you want us to look, and it's creating great dimension on her face. And the action in the drama is just the juxtaposition that's happening. Her being dressed in such a formal way and being out at the park. And what does that mean? And what is this about? And for you, you were relating it to COVID and people not being able to get dressed up. So like wanting an excuse to get dressed up and to go out, especially for those of you, and you are in this category, ZinZin, of these fashion majors, that like this is such an important aspect of your life that we want to, we don't want it diminished during this time. So I think that drama and understanding where you're coming from really feeds this image. And then this is the last image. This is by Jessica, and you're at ISO 200, 28 millimeters, f7.1 at 1/60th of a second. So those settings all look good. You have, I'm guessing, your husband, I'm forgetting if that's who it was, but working, he's the protagonist in this. The stage is this outdoor area, and the stage is having the bobcat there, right? Having him working on equipment. The costume, he's just wearing like boots and jeans and a ball cap and just in normal work clothes. The lighting is hard lighting coming across the whole scene. His face actually ends up in the shadows. So his face is one of the harder things to see in this image. So simply having him looking the other way, maybe looking towards where the light is coming from, or looking towards the top of his machine here, that may work better to allow us to see him as a subject. Right now, it feels like the environment is taking over and we're not getting to see as much of the subject. Just to double check that that wasn't getting blown out there. So the action drama that you are trying to portray is the fact that small businesses in like working America right now is in a tough spot with this pandemic. And what we see is we see someone actually working. We're not seeing him waiting to work. We're not seeing the drama of him having to pay bills and not having the money for it, or waiting for a phone call so he can get a job, or having a broke down piece of equipment that he can't fix. So that's where I think you could push this a little bit, is to have that narrative come through. Again, if you wanted to form this as a story and have this as more of the essay, which some students chose to do, you might be able to fill that out more. We could have an image of him working here, have another image of him working on his business, working in an office, working in by an office, I'm thinking just like this corner where he's trying to get everything organized for his business. Things like that would allow us to know this is his business and he's struggling with that, would help build out this narrative. So that's where I think you can push this image.